All right, good evening, everybody. I appreciate this time and opportunity to take a few moments of your time to speak to you. I normally speak to at-risk youth. It's one of the things I do. I kind of like going to the juveniles, the schools, group homes, various other things, wherever youth are at that can be reached with a message. I myself once was an at-risk youth. I have a very tumultuous history as far as I'm concerned, which probably reflects the lives of most of the people that you've encountered throughout your life, your sons, your nephews, your grandchildren, your fathers, your brothers, etc. But before I even start to share with you my story, with the hopes that you can use something from my life story to benefit others whom we are trying to reach, I just want to take the time to really speak to all of you here, particularly the parents, those concerned citizens that are in this room. I think one of the most important things that we have to focus on is that we have to reach our youth. See, we're here talking to each other, which is good, and this is where it begins. What we need to be focused on talking to our youth. And this is the work that I do, talk to our youth. Half the time, we as adults, I'm in my late 30s, we don't tend to reach out to understand our youth. They're 18, 17, 16, 15, 14. We don't have any consciousness of why they do the things they do. That's a fundamental failure on our part. It's not their fault that that's the culture they're being raised in. See, we're blaming our youth for their issues and their problems, as if they're adults making conscious decisions to be the way they are. We can't look at it like that. I come from that. I was a youth myself that made many, many mistakes that ultimately led me to incarceration. But see, we have to dig deep down and to understand our youth and the culture. The climate of culture today is so radically different from the 80s, from the 60s, from the 40s. Since time innumerable, history has evolved and changed and changed and evolved. And the culture climate has greatly, greatly evolved into something other than what we want to see. One of the most critical points of our lives is that we do not feel the pain of the loss of life, because we've been so desensitized to it, because it happens every single day. It happens all the time. The only time we feel the pain is when it's one of our family members. When it's my daughter, when it's my son, when it's my nephew, when it's my cousin, when it's someone that I know, that I'm close to. That's the only time we feel the pain. See, we have to learn to tap into our hearts and open up our hearts to feel the pain of our community. It's just not our family, this is our community. You know, our community is greatly affected by gun violence. I was once, when I was 17 years old, I was convicted of possession of a firearm. And I was incarcerated for that. But that in itself did not wake me up to say, hey, it's not for you to play with guns. You're just a child. See, children don't understand the impact, the power of a weapon, a firearm. They don't understand the dangerousness, the power of it. We sit up and watch them play video games all day, cartoons all day, extracting violence. We see such things on television that perpetuate cycles of violence. Let me give you an example. You all know Buffy the Vampire Slayer, correct? It's a TV series. This is a woman with supernatural powers, able to fight men. We don't think nothing wrong with it because it's television, but it's perpetuating that women can fight men, and that men can fight women. Now we're talking about the issues of domestic violence. You see, these types of images are affecting our children every single day as they grow up. It's not only in television, it's in mass media, music, video games, etc. These are the things that are affecting our youth, and yet we say we don't understand them. Well, we're not monitoring what we're feeding them. See, our children are only in our homes for what? A couple hours per day? We're only raising them for a small segment of time. You know who's raising them? The streets, the public schools. That's who's raising our youth today, not you. You only get a small segment of your child's life to get them some dinner, to get out and get them some school clothes, to tell them do this, don't do that. Well, guess what? They're outside your home 12 or 13 hours a day when somebody else is telling them something else. You see? And this is the reason why I do the work I do, because I myself was an at-risk youth. Been in and out of the juvenile home and jails since I was 9 years old. I'm 37 years old today. What it took for me to so-called see the light and to change my thinking. In the year 1991, I left the city of Lansing. I lived here from 89 to 91. I left this city and went to visit my sister in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I was young, 18 years old, had been drinking, smoking weed. Something typical of our everyday youth today. But I got in a fight at a liquor store, like most of our kids do. They go out and get in fights because they're drunk. I went out and got in a fight, but I got arrested for that fight. But you know when I got in custody for that fight, and they ran my fingerprints through, and seen I had a rap sheet from the time I was 9 years old, and here I am, someone from out of town in another state, being arrested for assaulting, fighting one of their own. I wasn't from Wisconsin. I wasn't from Milwaukee. They had unsolved crimes in the city at the time. I happen to be one of those few people. And unfortunately, it's really not few. There are a lot of people that are incarcerated for crimes they did not commit. I happen to be one of those persons charged, tried, and convicted of a first-degree murder of a crime I had absolutely no knowledge of. I was sentenced to life in prison, 45 to life. I served 15 years of that sentence. 15 years of that sentence. And the thing about it is that my story isn't unlike many other stories. You just may not have heard all of them. You just may not have heard all of them. But while I was in prison, I sat there and tried to figure out, why am I in the position, in the predicament I'm in today? How did I get to this point? So I had to trace my life back to the very beginnings, to the point in which I started making mistakes. Not that I was making conscientious mistakes, because I was a child. I was a child. Children aren't capable of making conscientious decisions to do those things because their mind is still developing. I talked to the gentleman today, he's running for judge today. Grant Crockett, I believe his name is. He told me that people's minds don't really start to develop until the brain is about the age of 26 years old. 26 years old. So what are we doing sending our juvenile children to prison for crimes when they're 16, when they're 14? See, we're just trying to just end the problem by eradicating the youth and locking them up. But that's not the solution. The solution is to make a change and a difference in our youth and give them other alternate opportunities. Because when I was a kid, I seen my father who was a drug dealer. That was my opportunity. I seen the man who lived in my projects, selling drugs, driving a nice car. That was my opportunity. My mother drove an old Randy, what we call a beater or hoopty. She drove a hoopty. She went to work every day, struggled real hard. She could barely afford her school clothes. So our youth are seeing things, getting other images and ideas, and they're young, they're impressionable. Well, see, we have to be the ones to make a different impression upon them. There is very few options available to our kids today. Very few. And that's because we as a community are not actively involved in helping shape the images. See, we as parents, as community citizens, we should be the ones shaping what transpires in our culture. But we don't. We let rap do it. We let the video games do it. We let cartoons do it. TV series. This is who we let influence and impress on the minds of our children. And we wonder why we're in such dire need. And there's a happy occasion for us to be here and to be gathered. And I feel the pain of everyone in here that has gotten up here and spoken and shared their pain. I'm sure some of you feel it as well. And see, this is what we need. We need to feel the pain of everyone, whether we're connected to them or not. Because without that, without tapping into those emotions, without tapping into those feelings, we're unable to address the problems. Because we're just burying them and burying them and burying them. When that happened to them, that's why I don't mess with folks. That's what we always, I don't let my kids run outside. No kids gotta go to school. They gotta go to school. You let them go over your sister's house or your brother's house where they're playing with their cousins. You don't know half of what's going on over there. Not that we're supposed to be policing our children. My point is that we need to take a more active role. A more active role in helping shape and create the images and ideas that affect our children. I just went this Tuesday and spoke at the Ingham Academy here in Lansing on Homes. I don't know if you guys know about the Ingham Academy and what's going on over there, but this is a school that the kids that go there have been adjudicated by the courts to go to this school because they've been kicked out of public schools. They've been kicked out of alternative schools. Heck, this isn't even an alternative school. This is a step beyond that. This is a particular step that is one stage next to juvenile incarceration. But guess what? Half of us don't even know what's going on over there at that school. We're not even concerned enough to know, because the way the culture is set up, there's a lot of ignorance. A lot of ignorance being perpetuated in society. And we just don't have a clue of what's going on in other people's lives, because we don't care about other people. We only care about ourselves and our own household until it affects us. Until it affects us. This is what we want to stop. We want to stop coming to stand up when it affects us. When it affects so-and-so, like Rina said, why hasn't nobody been calling anybody? We should have community citizens that are conscious of these types of situations. When somebody dies in somebody's household, when there's a murder in our community, we should have a group of people to say, let's go over and take some food over there. Let's go see about them and check on them. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. And this is the reason why we have such a segmented, a disunified community. This is a small, small city. You know how a lot of people know each other? Well, guess what? We don't know each other. I know you. You don't know me. You don't know them and them. You don't know each other. And yet here we are, all equally affected by the same circumstances, the same problems. So it's time that through this movement, through this peace and prosperity movement, that we unify, gather ourselves together, and see what we can create. What type of agenda we can create. What type of movement. We need grassroots movements. We need to see what we can do with this so we can move forward and help our kids, help our youth. We need mentors. I attend a mentor march every single year in Jackson, Michigan. And this mentor march is not really that heavily attended. It's heavily promoted, but it's not heavily attended. Why? We don't go out and march for our kids anymore. We're not concerned about getting out and making a public display to the community, to the media, to say, listen, there are other alternate means out there to give you assistance and help in raising your kids. Not talking about raising your child, what rules you're going to set. We're talking about the influences that affect our children in the daily lives of our community. We need to have a say-so in that, instead of just let the media run wild with it.